Why do I even bother to compare it to the books at this point? This is High Sparrow, and good episode all around, pretty good. They've been doing a pretty good job as far as just keeping the plot moving, which, considering this is kind of a slow book, the fact that they're kind of pacing themselves quite nicely is impressive, and the fact that they're able to keep the episodes dense and flow well, and the transitions are good. And once again, we're just going to break this down by each character story. Arya's story I thought was really good. Love the design of the House of Black and White. I love how nicely they were able to convey that it was, are you going to die without saying that. There was a really nice show don't tell moment. There was a really nice show don't tell moment of Arya trying to give up part of herself but not being able to. I mean, I feel that whole sword dropping thing, I think it happens much later in the books, but it was still really well done. Sansa's story veered significantly off from the path of the books. Like, for those of you who haven't read the books, in the book, all the way back in the end of Storm of Swords, when Jaime sends Brienne on her quest, they have to send this Arya. So Jaime just says, oh yeah, we found Arya, and just sends this girl who looks nothing like Arya to Bolton, and that's who he proposes. Although that character doesn't exist. I'm guessing they cut her and instead are giving it to Sansa, which I guess is probably a way of them just consolidating and saving time. Although Sansa's story, it's very different from the books. Like, in the books, she's still in the Vale, doing a lot of stuff. So I really don't know what they have in mind for Sansa. I mean, if they're just going to have her go the route of the girl from the book, Dance of Dragons, then I have a pretty good idea of where they're headed with Sansa. Like, now I do. Now that I know what role she's playing, assuming this is it, then I kind of know where they're headed, which is going to be... If you've read the books and you know what happens to that character, yeah, I mean, we're kind of in for an interesting treat. I mean, unless they diverge from it. I mean, they have said a character who doesn't die in the books is going to die in the show, and might be Sansa. But yeah, I mean, this is an interesting... It does lead to some interesting matchups. We get to see Sansa go back to Winterfell. We get to see Reek and Sansa and Littlefinger. All these characters being up, and it's a very interesting what-if scenario that never happened in the books, and the show's been doing a lot of that. Unfortunately, though, Brienne's not really going anywhere. This is another Brienne just wandering and chilling, and she didn't Feast for Crows, but with Feast for Crows, at least she had a goal and a purpose. Here, she really doesn't. I mean, unless their plan is to have her link up with the... I feel like what they're going to do is they're going to try and link her up into Sansa's story. Which, again, like, point is the wedding at Winterfell, which is, I don't think I'm spoiling anything when I say that's what all the Winterfell stuff is building towards, a wedding between Sansa and the Bolton boy. If they're going the way I think it is, it's going to probably play out very differently from the books. I mean, not in terms of what will happen. Like, the main beats and the main point of what happened that ultimately comes out, I feel like is going to be the same, but, like, how we get there and who's involved, I think, is going to change. But, again, I mean, or then there's the other possibility, which is that you're just going to have Brienne and Patrick wander aimlessly around for the entire season, which I hope they don't, because that will just be a bummer. I mean, as much as I like spending time, it's like, with the past season, they had a goal and objective. Here, they're just sort of wandering and trying to figure it out, and I really hope Brienne's just going to meet up with Lady Stoneheart. But let me just talk about the scene as it is. The scene as it is was good. It gave us a nice bit of backstory. I mean, in the book, a lot of Brienne's story is just, at least her, once she leaves King's Landing, it's a lot of her just doing internal monologuing, so it was nice. That was a good way of getting that across, and I do like her development of her relationship with Patrick. But again, we're 3 episodes in. We're almost halfway through the season. And Brienne's story really hasn't taken on any sort of form yet. Hoping we go to Lady Stoneheart, although I feel like that's becoming less and less likely. The stuff at the wall was good. There was good stuff with Jon Snow being Lord Commander, trying to figure out what it means. The execution scene I thought was really well done. That's becoming a motif I just realized with this season, but Yeah, it really shows how him trying his best to be a leader, and if you've read the books, like, all this stuff is foreshadowing something that's going to happen later on. King's Landing was a good soap opera as well. I mean, it's a lot quieter this season, and a lot of that's due to the fact that a lot of the big characters are gone. Joffrey's gone, Shay is gone, Tywin's gone, Tyrion's gone. Like, all the fun characters. I mean, it's basically gotten really quiet and really settled. I mean, the Tyrells are in charge, Cersei's lost her power. Like, it's doing a pretty nice job to showing them not only how Cersei's, like, unwinding, but how, like, she's losing everything. And Marjorie's becoming a very interesting player. She's really playing Tommen, who he's very different in the books. In the book, he's like a whiny little kid, but like, and he's a little kid. But again, this is one of those changes I'm not gonna like be a change Nazi on because it's a child actor. He's going to age, and you have to work around that. Kind of like what Walking Dead has to do with Carl, and they handle it quite nicely. I mean, just having him not be a whiner, but just someone who is both really innocent but easily pushed around. I mean, Marjorie is just playing him the way she wants him. And they really nicely set that up in Season 4 when she visited him in his bed. But yeah, I just realized though, this is the first wedding we've had where nothing horrible has gone wrong. And I don't think this wedding has occurred in the book yet, but at least according to my memory. So yeah. But yeah, really good. Stuff there. Finally, we get to Tyrion's story, which is starting to pick up some steam. We got to Voltanis, which looked really cool. And I like how he's finally getting somebody to do, like, Tyrion's story's finally moving somewhere. It's not just, here's Tyrion. Oh, look, it's Tyrion for 2 minutes. It's like, he got some fun lines to say. We're seeing how Daenerys, like, how word of her is spreading and this mythical quality she's taking on, which is nice. And then there was also the Daenerys cosplayer, which was amusing. But more importantly, we saw the return, and we also saw, like, this priestess, which kind of... it's interesting. We don't really learn that much about Melisandre in the books, but here we learn her backstory in, like, Season 3. And here we're learning there are other priestesses who are very similar to, like, they even use the Melisandre theme to sort of cue that. But anyway, it ends with Ser Jorah returning, who... it's one of those, you kind of can see it coming, because they did, in the previously, they did show Ser Jorah leaving Voltanis, not Voltanis, Marine. And Emilia Clarke's name was in the credits, so you kind of knew, okay, well, he's not going to show up in Daenerys' story again, so he's going to come back somewhere, but... so he did see her. And Jeremy Jahns actually predicted this, so kudos to him. I mean, he hasn't read the books, but yeah. So Ser Jorah captures Tyrion and says, I'm taking you to see the queen. We don't know which queen. I mean, if you've read the books, you have a pretty good idea of what queen he's talking about, but... yeah. So Tyrion's story is getting sped up. So overall, it's a pretty good episode. Keeping things moving, keeping things engaging. I mean, there are some storylines I think are clicking a lot better than others, but overall, like, everything clicked. Like, it all sort of felt like one dense, meaty, cohesive narrative. I mean... we didn't get Daenerys, but, I mean, there was a lot going on. We didn't get Dorne this season, this episode, but looks like next episode we are. It's going to be really... they did a good job balancing everything. I mean, like, they're doing 2 books at once, so there's that challenge of how do you cover all this stuff. I mean, some of it's, like, been cut completely, some of it's been... they started in Season 4. Yeah, they're doing a really good job. It'll be interesting to see how they continue to juggle it, and that's all I have to say about High Sparrow. Please leave your thoughts in the comments below. If you haven't read the book, if you've read the books or seen the leaked episodes, please just put spoilers in the comments before you post something, so that way if people who haven't read the books or haven't seen the leaked episodes don't want to know what's going to happen, they have a warning. And as always, dislike, comment, subscribe, and this is JStar60. And I'll see you guys later.